Good afternoon. More images and information has been revealed or released even by Gript.ie. So the journalist outlet, media outlet, Gript has released some screenshots, some photos, and some additional information on some of the activities that the teacher who done the interview with Jan London previously about the SPHE stuff has released the Gript. Right, there was another teacher as well. I think she or he reserved the right to anonymity, but concurred with the previous teacher around what the training was, which happened in Dublin City University, right? And one of the aspects of the training was called rewriting the script. And what this was, or this is an activity which these teachers have been given, most likely to implement in the classroom with teenagers. Okay, so as far as I'm aware, it is with the junior cycle, so which is first, second, third year. So 12 to 15, maybe 16-year-olds, 12 to 15. And there's a screenshot here, or a photo of the slide as it was presented to these teachers in training in Dublin City University. And it's called Rewriting the Script. And I will read this now, because this is an activity which is meant to be given from teachers to teenagers, or is being spoken about as maybe being given, right? And we get to that following this. So, quote, the children are asked to, quote, create a script that tells a story of a mutually pleasurable, respectful, and consensual sexual experience for two people. In your story, consider emotional and romantic aspects of pleasure as well as physical pleasure. The script should include detailed character descriptions, scene setting information, where and when is it set, what are the keynotes on space, etc. Line by line dialogue, note on actions central to the scene or scenes, non-verbal, and any music or sound cues where applicable. End quote. So what teachers are being trained up to implement activities for kids where they're being asked to essentially write a pornographic scene. Now, Gript have put forward a great question, and they're suggesting, I think they forwarded this onto the Dublin City University and asked for their response. So given that you'll be dealing with junior cycle kids, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, and asking them to write about an imaginary sexual scene, they would be naturally depicting their peers. They would naturally be depicting people of similar age to them. And if not, if they're picturing an adult, then either way, they would be writing about child pornography. So, how close do people want to get before they just come out and tell you, this is what we're interested in here. We want to get your kids to be talking about sex. We want to get your kids to be talking about us, talking to us about sex, showing us images of themselves, or maybe animated drawings of themselves, or what they imagine their sexual partner would be like. This is what these teachers are being trained to implement in schools. And what the response that we get from the Minister of Education, Norma Foley, was that what this teacher, I think Mary Creedon is her name, or Creedon, what she said in the interview was a misrepresentation of what the training was. Norma Foley suggests that the training was oriented around getting adults into the conversation of this stuff. So what? Let's say it is. Why are you doing that? Why are you paying teachers and trainers and venues to get them to sit around and talk about the idea of getting teenagers to talk about sex and write a pornographic scene. That's essentially what this is. The script should include detailed character descriptions, scene setting information, line by line dialogue. So imagine the person that's correcting this sitting down reading this, a teenager, as they detail the imagery of a scene, detailed character descriptions, and line by line dialogue. They're writing a pornographic scene from the mind of a teenager. And you'll have an adult sitting there reading how many of these? A whole classroom full? A whole province full? Are they doing this for the junior cert too? How many of these things are they going to be correcting? This is pornography. This is child pornography from the mind of a child. And our Minister of Education is defending this. She hasn't come out and defended this rewriting the script part, but she has come out and suggested that the teacher not be listened to because she's misrepresenting things, right? So instead of saying the stuff that she's talking about, that didn't happen, it's not true, she tacitly kind of admits to it by just saying instead, well, she's misrepresenting it. It was for adults. It wasn't. So what? This stuff is still coming from the mind of not just Norma Foley, but she's rubber stamping it. She's okaying this stuff. And she's coming out trying to defend it. Right? So there's no defense for this. If Norma Foley comes out and tries to defend the idea of getting 12, 13 and 14-year-olds, or any age of a minor, or a minor of any age, that tries to defend getting them, an adult getting them, to write a pornographic scene, sex scene, a pornographic sex scene, quote, include detailed character descriptions. So don't just go me and a girl or me and whatever. Paint a picture for me, right? This is disgusting. Paint a picture for me. What does she smell like? You know, what height was she? Was her hair long or short? That kind of dirt, right? This is you have to laugh at the brazenness of it, but you also have to accept the brazenness of it. These people believe they are so close. They are so close to you okaying them doing whatever they want with your children. They believe they are that close. This is how bold they are. They are now training adults in this. Get them to write a porn scene. Tell them to get into details about it. Go on, try it. This is dirt. This is dirt. And I can't wait to see if Norma Foley comes out and tries to defend this. She's going to, whatever. Or she'll just ignore it. And no one will bring it up with her. Right? But anyway, this is for the teachers out there. If you're been to these trainings, or if you're thinking of this stuff, because it also says in the Gript article that not everyone was opposed to this stuff. And a lot of people there, or a number of people that were at this training, teachers, they did not believe that adults or parents should have the right to take their children out of this sort of stuff. So you have predators in the grass there, right, that are okay with this sort of activity being implemented, right? So I would defy any of these teachers. Go and speak to the parents of these children and tell them to their face that this is what you're going to get their kids to do. And if you're not willing to do that, then you know that what you're doing in that classroom is wrong and criminal. And regardless of the legality of it, you can hide behind that all day long. It's morally wrong. And it will have its pushbacks. If you're willing to try and corrupt and pervert the minds of children by getting them to write a pornographic scene for your entertainment, you should also be perfectly open to the consequences of that. Go and tell these kids' fathers and mothers that this is what you plan on doing with their children. And if you're not willing to do that, then you know that what you're doing is corrupt, perverted, and disgusting. And shameful and immoral, whatever you want to call it. It's disgusting. So, this is what this This is what the person who's on charge of educating your children and overseeing the structure around which your child's mind is formed and shaped, according to the state. This is the stuff that she's okaying, and this is where your money's going. And there's €9 million being given to her to create pencil cases, essentially, for the kids to put their smartphones into while they're in school. Why? What does that stop them from doing? It stops them from being able to record what's going on in the classrooms. But you can read their books when they bring them home. Well, not really, because the government have told you that they will pay for these books for the kids, which means they remain school property, which means kids will probably not be able to bring them out unless they're sneaking them out, which again in and of itself is crazy. But anyway, here's where we are. These people are this close. They believe they are this close, and they are a generation away from people okaying any sort of act going on in a classroom behind closed doors between adults and children, perverts and children, right? That's where we are. It is on us to stop this. And any parent out there, get in and ask your teacher. Show them this stuff. Go onto the Gript thing and look, get these photos and say, are you going to attempt to teach my child that? Teach. Are you going to attempt to engage my child in this sort of activity? Tell me.